Welcome back to all our listeners. It's that time of the week again, where we discuss all things FPL on the First 45 podcast, brought to you by Craig and Darren.
Hello, you're listening to the First 45 podcast, and with me is FPL editor Craig and the return of Big Daddy Wiles.
Return of the desk. Return of the desk. Yeah, it is.
How we doing, boys?
He's back.
Welcome back,
Boys
mate.
are back in town. Three amigos.
They are. Welcome back. How's it going? Getting much sleep?
No, fuck all. Nah, it's all good though. It's all good. Loving it.
Yeah, I bet. Good man. How's the FPL going then?
Not so good. Do you know what? I was thinking, becoming a dad, your perspectives all changed. FPL doesn't matter, but it still hurts, doesn't it? The bad game weeks, they still hurt you.
Oh, mate, those red arrows, I've got two myself and 5 years into it, and the red arrows, yeah, they still bite, even if the perspectives change.
How are you, Craigo? Joey?
Absolutely.
Both good?
Yeah, I'm up, mate. FPL is going well. Life is swell.
Oh, yeah, here he is, Mr. Smug. Well, he's been doing well, so perhaps we better dive into that. Do you want to tell us how it's going, mate? Because you must have just crossed the ton threshold.
Try not to be too smug, guys. Yeah, I saw that. I was sitting on 99 points coming into tonight. Obviously, we've got Everton, Villa, and United, Liverpool. Everton, Villa's, second half at the moment, isn't it? I don't see anything happening there at the moment. Still 0-0?
0-0 currently,
So,
58 minutes in.
0-0. So, yeah, I'm on 101 points at the moment. Obviously, the next couple of points haven't kicked in for the 60-minute threshold. I've got Digne and DCL tonight. Played my free hit. Plenty of changes for me. Highlights, Greenwood and Mane, without a shadow of a doubt. Greenwood's really come through this week. Absolutely buzzing with that. Picked him in aside as well, didn't I, Daz? So
yeah.
we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah,
That's
very nice.
That's turned the screw. Captain Bruno for me. We spoke about it on the last pod, Joe and I. It was for me. It was a Bruno all day, and perhaps a Salah if you wanted to be a bit creative. But hopefully Bruno can do something tonight as well. I'm kind of fingers crossed here for goals. So I've got quite a few players. I've got 3 United lads. I've got Bruno, Fernandes, and Greenwood and Shaw as well at the back, and then I've got TAA, which most people have, and Salah, which most people have, and then Mane, of course. So, yeah, fingers crossed for that one for me tonight. So, yeah, just past the 100-point threshold, and I've gone from 11.5k to 5k. So,
wow,
it's a good rank is on. Could be
fair play, mate.
Getting right up there with one of my best ranks. So, yeah,
happy. Been quite the second half of the season for you, mate. You've been flying through the ranks for a long time now.
Yeah, I guess just well, look, we're all of us and our listeners too. We all pay quite a lot of attention to this, but of course you do need some rubs in there, and I've had a couple, so I won't just say it's all down to skill. Welbeck's 12 points coming in is helpful, but I think everything's just come together. And actually, do you know what the funny thing I would like to analyse at the end of the season? I haven't really had a chance to even blink, but I feel like my actual my team value has actually helped. We talked about that a lot, and I got a lot of banter, didn't I, in our personal group. I remember there was a few conversations going backwards and forwards around December, and one of our mates was saying that I was chasing points and stuff, and because I've got that team value, it's really helped me out because I was able to keep hold of players like Bruno, although he hasn't really done very well recently. So yeah, I would have to look at the old analysis of it. But yeah, it's helped me on the free hit, and
it's definitely a strategy of yours that seems to pay dividends come the end of the season. I quite often look at your side and you think, how has he got that team? And sometimes your early rank suffers, but more often than not,
that's the problem.
More often than not, you come good, mate. So yeah, fair play to you.
You, mate?
Not too bad. 86 points, but that was after a minus 12, which I think raised a few eyebrows amongst you two. I'll talk you through some of the transfers. I'm sure you're looking for a bit of an explanation there, Craigie boy.
I am, mate. I really am.
Mendy to Martinez. I'm a bit gutted with this one because I actually thought about this a little bit, and I thought I made a good transfer. I didn't expect Mendy to play against Arsenal, and he didn't. And of course, that would have left him with City and a blank in 36. So I went for Martinez, but of course, Aguero absolutely gifted him a penalty save there. So lost out on some points, unfortunately. Rudiger to Digne, which I'm quite happy with. Kane to DCL. DCL was one of my highlights of the week, actually. So pleased with that. I did Diaz to Wan-Bissaka. I was a little bit unsure on Diaz's minutes for the remainder of the season, and obviously targeting the triple game week. And probably most surprisingly was bringing in Rashford for my fifth transfer there. obviously the standout play was
captain.
Bruno. Of course it was. I know that, but I felt I had to make a play.
Well, try something, didn't you?
I had to make a play.
I like it, mate. Back yourself. It could. It still can work out tonight. You never know. He gets a couple of goals tonight, mate. It still works out, doesn't it? You just don't know. And it's good that you got that assist that helped you out a little bit. I mean, for me, I'll be honest. That type of play just wasn't the play. But like again, you're in that position where you wanted to move, right? And I guess maybe it's my subconscious that says it's not the play because
Bruno is, of course, he was the captain to pick. And do you know what? Let's see what Rashford does tonight. It still might work out, but Rashford's more than capable of getting 2 or 3 goals a game. So I just thought, he is, go for it. I was hovering around 30k, going with Bruno. What was it going to do for me? I was going to end up around the same sort of thingy. So
yeah, that makes sense. I like it. It's good, mate. Do you know what I really like about your moves? And obviously, that's the only thing that I feel like has hampered me a little bit with the free hit. I mean, I cannot complain. It looks like I'm going to do very, very well out of it. But obviously, I don't really have a route now. I looked at my team. I have no real route to Digne and DCL, which is, for me, I feel that's a bit of a problem this week with it being the final game of the game week. Quite a lot of points could come in that game potentially at home to Sheffield United. So I'll be actually, again, putting my fingers crossed, contrary to what you want, obviously, here. But I'll be hoping that, of course, they don't do anything. I don't think I've got a route. I really don't think I've got a route. I had a look at it. I'm not sure I can do it. I've got 1 free transfer. We've all got things to sort of tie up for this coming game week where we've got the blank. So, yeah, not too sure. But anyway, I'm sure we'll get into all that.
Yeah, let's dive into it. So, obviously, kicking off for this week, it's going to be a short game week. I've seen quite a few teams on Twitter with a fair few blanks. Looks like there might be another week of hits ahead of us. Perhaps we better start with you there, Darren, because I know you're a little bit short-sighted after taking a -12 even this week as well. What's your thoughts and how many players you got?
Yep, currently on 7 players, which, as you quite rightly point out, Joe, after a -12, I'm not quite sure how I've ended up with that. My head's gone there somewhere along the line, and that must be sleep.
That is the baby brain, isn't it? That is the baby brain. That is just sleep deprivation.
I think.
Oh my lord!
I think of all the transfers, the one there which really stands out as a regret, I think, is probably the Wan-Bissaka one. I don't think that was needed for a -4. I think that triple game week was perhaps a bit of a poison chalice. They were never going to field out the same starting 11 3 games in such a short period. So I probably could have gone elsewhere with the Wan-Bissaka move and moved on somebody for the blank game week to give me 8 players. But lucky to make at least another -4, I think, to try and get to 9 players. And don't be too surprised if I go -8. Actually, I'm going to be pretty glad to see the back of the likes of Maddison and Vardy. That they were big players for me over the last few weeks. They were quite good. Well, I thought they were going to be good differentials with the fixtures there, but they've been shite, the pair of them. So they're going to be definitely on the chopping block. What about you, mate?
That's a shame. Well, look, I've planned. I've got 11. I'm not too sleep deprived.
Here it is, Smuggy McSmug. So 11 players.
It's all rolling. It's all coming together. It's rolling into place. Look, at the end of the day, though, to get to my 11, I had to begrudgingly sell Mendy and Rudiger, which Rudiger not so much of a problem, but Mendy, I didn't really want to get rid of him before the triple. I sold them, of course, because I had the free hit for the triple game week, and look, I've just found out that it looks like Veltman might not be playing, so that would actually put me down to 10. But of course, I have a free transfer, and I can be a bit flexible with that, right? Because I've got the likes of Iheanacho and Fernandes in there as well. I wouldn't touch Holding because Holding's no different than Veltman. I would be looking at bringing in the defender to field that 11, but that then puts me at 4 defenders. So not too sure I'm going to go that route, but yet to be decided. I mean, I'm not giving it too much thought at this stage. Probably I'll give it a little bit more thought tomorrow. I want to listen to the pressers to see what's going on with the rest of my side, but I'm almost certainly not going to rule out a -4 either. I'll try just to make that one transfer because I can do it because I can field 11. But I see that -4 this week. I kind of expect the average from the top 10k or any top 50k as well to be like a minus number going into the game week. I think even before a ball's kicked, I'd love to know what the actual net score is I reckon it'll be like -3, -4, could be -6. I have no idea, but I feel like there are a lot of people making hits.
Definitely.
So I look at the top of our mini league, and I'm second in it. Obviously, you boys know, and I see blanks there as well. I see like 6 blanks for the leader of our main prize league.
Wow.
And there's going to be -8 there probably as well. So yeah, I'm not ruling out a -4 if I like the look of it, but I won't just do it for the sake of it.
Right, I mean, taking into consideration what's been happening so far this game week, setting aside the Manchester United-Liverpool fixture, which is about to kick off shortly for us here, and the result of the Everton and Aston Villa game, where are you going to be focusing your attention in these last few game weeks? Obviously, there's still quite a bit to play for across Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, Leicester, but there's also blanks in there as well as other places at the top. There's Champions League finals, Europa League finals, a lot to still mentally process when you're picking your teams in these weeks ahead. What teams and players are actually interesting you at the moment and are on your radar for the run-in?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that Leeds, West Ham and Liverpool came up last week, and personally, I don't see past those 3 teams. So I've kind of had another little look as well on the Fantasy Football fixture analyzer to see, what other teams are favourable for that run-in. And the team in 4th, actually, for attack difficulty is Southampton. They're just behind those aforementioned 3. And I completely agree with that as well. I mean, they've got Fulham at home, Leeds at home, West Ham United away. And I can see 5+ goals in those games. I think, I said it with a bit more confidence off of the back of the result yesterday night where, Southampton put Palace to the sword after being one goal down. So, Ings is back. He looked decent. But Adams could be a fantastic budget alternative if you look at those 3 fixtures from Saints, to the likes of Wood, Antonio, Bamford, etc. He actually comes in at 0.7 million cheaper as a minimum as well, compared to those 3 players. He's 5.7 million. Your next best price there is 6.4 million for both Antonio and Wood. And I think actually, of course, Bamford now, I think he went up to 6.4 million last night as well. So, look, he got a goal and assist. He looks to be favoured again after a bit of rotation. So, yeah, maybe Adams presents himself as a little bit of a budget forward option. People are talking a lot about, Antonio and Bamford and those types of players. But with Fulham at home, gone down, I see goals. Leeds, yes, they've shored up a little bit at the back, and if they've got Calvin Phillips playing, they might be a bit more tight, but I can still see 1 goal at least, maybe 2. And then West Ham United away at the end of the season, again, they'll be looking to try and get points, so it could mean that Saints could sneak a goal or 2 there as well. So, yeah, I think it's important that Ings is back as the Saints talisman to pick someone like Adams.
Can't disagree with anything you said there, mate. I think Liverpool, Leeds, West Ham definitely got the standout fixtures. Just looking at it here, Liverpool with West Brom, Burnley and Palace, Leeds, Burnley, Southampton, West Brom, and West Ham with Brighton, West Brom and Southampton. All 3 sides with really nice fixtures there. So interestingly enough as well, I like these teams because they've kind of all got something to play for, particularly Liverpool and West Ham fighting for the top 4. Leeds not so much, but with Bielsa in charge there, they're not going to take their foot off the pedal at all, in my opinion. So at this time of season, normally we get teams on the beach, don't we? And results can be a bit wayward. But with these 3 teams, I think you can back them to really go for it, and your assets are going to hopefully come good.
I kind of fancy Saints on that front. Obviously now the pressure's off a little bit. Watching the Palace game the other night, I feel like Ings might be a good shout on that front, as you picked up on just a second ago. He definitely looks interested, particularly with Euro selection.
That's true.
Up for grabs. It feels like he's got something to play for, which is always dangerous if you're up against him.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's move on to the armband then, guys. Who are you currently looking at this week? For me, it jumped out as an obvious Salah pick, but is there actually a little bit more depth to that? And are you considering something a bit different there?
Yeah, Salah's the standout for me as well, mate. I agree with you there. I've got DCL, who's also in consideration for me. Home to Sheffield United, that's a nice fixture for him. I guess elsewhere you've got the Tottenham guys, but Son and Kane. I don't currently own either of those, but if you do own them, they're going to be probably quite popular captain picks. As I said earlier, I'm I'm probably going to have a bit of money to play with, selling Maddison and Vardy, possibly Rashford as well. So I could go a bit differential. I've got my eye on perhaps a man you've just spoken about quite highly, Danny Ings. I missed the game the other day, but good to see him back in the goals and nice couple of fixtures. Don't expect ownership to surge too much after that. I think he's still going to be a differential, so he's somebody I'm definitely looking at. Bale's obviously got that explosiveness to him, but maybe a little bit too risky even in my position. And then you've got the City guys. I think you might be able to try and second guess the team, the likes of Mahrez. You're seeing Aguero and Jesus both getting minutes quite regularly. So again, it's a bit of a risky one, but might look at a differential. I might do.
Yeah, you're kind of in that position, Daz, where you don't want to kind of be too risky, of course, because your rank's still decent at 30k. You've still got a top 10k on the cards easily, right? Even with a few hits this week, because most people will be making hits. So I can understand where your mind is probably like 50-50, like you're completely torn whether or not you go for someone like a DCL.
Yeah.
Or you kind of play it safe with, say, a Salah or a Kane.
I kind of feel like...
Yeah, it's lots to think
about. I kind of feel like if I go for it and it doesn't work out and I end up, say, 60, 70k, makes no finishing
odds,
30k or 60k makes no odds to me. Whereas if it comes good and I could potentially get into that top k, I'll be made up with that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, you can watch my car if it doesn't pan out, mate.
Yeah, I love it. For me, echo every thought you've just really said there, to be honest. Again, as I said, I'm not likely to be able to get hold of Digne and DCL, so I guess that makes the captaincy choice a little bit easier for me on that front, because I would be tempted to captain DCL, I must admit, with that being the final game. So for me, in terms of my own team, I'd say it's between Son, Kane and Salah for me, and there really isn't not much in it. I actually had a look at all their statistics to try and compare them over the season. Of course, I've been watching football currently, but we forget things, don't we, that happened in game weeks 1 to 10. What happened there? It's kind of a blur, apart from Southampton being obliterated by Spurs in the second game week. That was something that hasn't left my memory. But Wolves and West Brom, they neither have looked too solid at the back recently. So you can look at both Kane and Son as well as Salah, and the expected point score over the season, in fact, when I had a little look at the Fantasy Football Fix Opta Sandbox feature, I saw that 6.07 points per game it has been for Salah so far this year as an expected FPL point score, and 5.95 for Kane. So both of them are shooting around that 6 points per game expected FPL score, which... Again, there's nothing to differentiate them. It's a bit of a coin toss. And when you look at their expected goals per game as well, that's 0.55 for Salah and 0.54 for Kane. So, absolute coin toss for me. Look, at the end of the day, when you sort of breaking it down and looking at the opposition, and for me, Sam Johnston is an absolute save machine. So it puts me off Salah a little bit. I can see it being one of those frustrating games where we've seen in the past where Liverpool have played the likes of Burnley and Nick Pope seemingly saves every single shot at Anfield, and a couple of those were from Salah. So there is just this little thing in the back of my mind where I'm thinking, well, Kane Son play could be a good play for me, because I do see goals in the Spurs Wolves game. I have to say Spurs are obviously again playing for position. So yeah, I'm very undecided. Giving you the numbers there, it's a complete coin toss.
Interesting.
Right, let's look into our last bit. We've got a few players going under the radar at the moment. And looking at the last 4 games that these players have played, and this is insights from Craig here, who's tipped me off with some stats to reel off here.
Oh, you didn't have to do that, mate.
Courtesy, Craig.
You could have passed it off as your own.
No, I won't do that. I'll give credit where credit's due. So we've got Danny Ings, who's scored 32 points in his last 4 games that he's played. Eze from Crystal Palace with 25. You got Willock, Newcastle on loan, obviously at the moment with 26 points, and City's Benjamin Mendy, who's racked up 31 points in his last 4 appearances as well.
Numbers.
There's some whopping points in there, Danny Ings in particular and Mendy. Why do you think these players are not being really mentioned for the run in? I guess you could argue some of them it might be minutes with Mendy, but the likes of Ings and Eze, for example, and Willock. Why are these players going under the radar?
I think I could start on Ings here. I think at the end of the day, that leads quite nicely in from earlier on where we referenced Adams and Ings and Southampton having nice fixtures. So look, the Saints being that fourth best on the fixture analyzer, and then when you consider the 31 points that he's scored in his last 4, which is, by the way, is absolutely. Oh no, so he scored 32, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right, 32.
32, he's not 31. So yeah, I mean, even better. So 8 points per game. It's phenomenal stuff. He's got 4 goals and an assist just looking at this. It's really hard to ignore him. Not being spoken about at all. Of course, we've got our bias because we've sat here on this pod and we're 3 Southampton fans, so potentially that's why our eyes are on the prize a little bit more. But I mean, those numbers are ridiculous. I've been on Twitter and I'm looking at timelines from time to time during the day. I'm not hearing any mention about Ings. Maybe it's the price point. Maybe it's the injuries that just lurk over him all the time. We only got 3 games left at the end of the day. You want to try and maybe go for someone that's going to be assured of game time. But there's absolutely no question he is top tier when he's fully fit. And I actually throw this out there. He's easily, for me, one of the top 3 forwards in the league, like without a shadow of a doubt for me. When he's fully fit.
He is top class.
He's top class.
Yeah.
And again, yes, people might listen and say, "Oh, you're biased, you're Southampton fans." No, we watch him in and out, and we'd be the first to say if someone's rubbish or good all the time.
He's too good for us.
He's way too good for us. And I think most people know that, and he's obviously been linked with all sorts of clubs. He's been linked with Spurs, he's been linked with, many clubs, and there's obviously been some utterings about City. Well, if I was in charge of City, and if I were Pep, I'd be like, right, just let's just get him, because they're not going to have to spend a fortune. Is he got 1 year left on his contract? Coming into the summer,
there's
right?
talk that there's uncertainty on whether he's going to sign a new deal.
Yeah.
I would suggest that after a season of talking about it, he's not going to sign a new deal.
I'd be
I
surprised
think
if we saw him in a
guess.
Saints shirt next season, personally.
Yeah.
Well, the talk from Ralph is at the moment, and perhaps we'll only quickly dwell on this, but he's saying that he would basically rather keep him for a season. We need a striker and we need the goals of that calibre. But whether that's a little bit of negotiation, mind games with the board to try and either keep him or keep some of the cash to potentially be
And reinvested.
repurposed. But personally, I think a club like Southampton are not going to turn down a decent offer if it comes in, regardless of the goals, whether we need them or not.
Still very young as well. He's not old. I haven't got it in front of me, and so I should know this really, but I think he's only 28 or something like that. Is that right? Perhaps one of you guys can look into that whilst I'm rabbling away here. But look, Aguero's leaving this year at City. City should buy. They should just literally bite on that. They should be taking him in because, in that team as well. I mean, he's good for 15 goals as a minimum across sort of 30 odd games over the season. Yes, there are those injury concerns, but he just needs to keep on top of them. And of course, he had a really good season with us last year. Amassing 21, 22 goals for us. So yeah, I think in a club like City, he could easily get 20 Premier League goals. He's just clinical. He's got that Aguero-ness about him where he's just just unbelievable finisher. So. It's definitely one to consider for the people that are listening in. If I could get to him, I would actually try to get to him. And obviously, you've got Vardy, Daz, so quite an easy move for you, which is fortunate. And then as for the others that you mentioned, Joey, you talked about Eze and Willock and Mendy. Well, I mean, again, there's 3 players in form right now. I mean, averaging no less than sort of around 5-6 points per game in the last 4 games, which is great. I see Eze flourishing next season, particularly if Zaha isn't there. But I think with Arsenal and Liverpool games coming up, maybe that's the reason people aren't really talking or looking too much into the Palace fixtures or players, should I say. Willock, on the other hand, what a great differential he is. 4 goals in his last 4 games. I mean, that's brilliant. And there's been a couple of games in there where he's not played. And of course, he couldn't play against Arsenal, parent club. I don't know the reasons. I haven't looked into it behind the other couple of non-starts there, but it could be again injury related. But those 4 goals, by the way, came in 123 minutes of football. 4 games, 123 minutes. I mean, that's insane. That's not even a game and a half that he's played, and he managed to bag 4 goals. That's just madness. So
one of the best.
He might actually.
Premier League history, keeping them up
well,
in some ways. Absolutely.
I mean, again, I haven't looked into it again, but statistically, I'd imagine he's probably earned them between 4 and 6 points minimum. Like I know I've seen him score one at the end when they were drawing. So that's easily 4 or 6 points that he's managed to get, which is just it's brilliant. So again, he could be a good enabler. Only 4.7 million, and then from 37. because he's got City next, right? That's the thing. You don't bring someone like Willock in at 4.7 million when they've got City next. But again, as an enabler, if you've got 2 free transfers, you could look to bring him in to free up some cash for, I don't know, one of those kind of mid-price midfielders, a Lingard, a Jota, because Newcastle do have Sheffield United at home and then Fulham away in game weeks 37 and 38. So I like the Willock shout. I think that's a good one. And then just finally on Mendy, again, rotation worry. Maybe that's why he's not being talked about too much. But I think he's favoured over Zinchenko for the run-in. City have some nice games. And again, 1 goal, 1 assist, I believe it is, in the last 4 that he's played. And yeah, he could be worth a punt. Now, if I was on free hit this week, I'd probably punt on him. I'd probably have a little go away at Newcastle. I feel like Newcastle looked quite good against Leicester, but the City are a different proposition. And I kind of expect Mendy to play in that one. That could be one of those double point scores.
Yeah, I think those on a free hit, I think Mendy could be a good shout. But those of us who's probably looking to be taking hits now, it's just you want players that are pretty much guaranteed to play 3 games, don't you, for the run-in, I think, which Mendy perhaps doesn't fall into that bracket, which is, again, one of the reasons why maybe he's not being spoken about despite great numbers. Agree with Willock, 37 onwards, 37, 38, 2 really nice fixtures there. Sheffield United and Fulham, 4.7, great option. And, of course, we've spoken a lot about Danny Ings. He's certainly someone I'm looking at, so yeah. It's good.
But you're leaning towards him now, aren't you, Dazza?
Yeah, definitely.
Now we're talking about it, so I'm thinking, gee, you don't want to talk too much.
No, some interesting numbers there. I think maybe it's a bit of an example of me taking my eye off the ball a little bit, because it's all news to me that Eze and Willock and Mendy posting some big scores there.
Yeah, well, I think you and many others, though, like I said, are not really seeing too many people talking of some of these assets, and there's probably a few more out there as well when you dig a little bit deeper. But the Ings is the one that's got the pedigree, and I think out of all of them, he would be the one that I would prefer.
Yeah, I mean, if you went beyond the blank game week in 36 as well, there's probably a few Arsenal assets that would creep into that radar as well. You've seen Smith Rowe hit a haul this week, and Saka looks like he's been chipping in with some assists as well. But obviously the blank game week there probably puts a lot of us off in the short term there as well. And just to clarify your knowledge there, Craig, Danny Ings is 28, so you're spot on, mate.
Cheers, mate. Community question time?
Let's dive into community questions. These are your questions that you fire to us every week on our Twitter handle at First45Pod. We've got quite a few here, so we'll try and rattle through them as quick as we can. First 2 are pretty similar, actually, so I'm going to try and combine them if we can. So these are from Lee Godfrey and from Kellen, and they've asked about goalkeepers. Lee's asked about which goalkeeper should he be targeting. He's got Forster and Mendy. I know there's been talk from Ralph Hasenhüttl that there would be rotation, and that's where Kellen is, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I hope I am, is correctly pointed out that Hasenhüttl has suggested that McCarthy and Forster will rotate. Kaelin's actually sort of said about, will the penalty save change things for Forster? So it'd be good to get your thoughts on that. And if you had to swap out a goalkeeper, who would you be looking at now? And is Meslier a good option there?
For me, Meslier is probably the standout goalkeeper for the run-in. We spoke about Leeds' fixtures and their hunger to finish the season well. I think Meslier is probably a good shout. I think he's actually quite high in the rankings for goalkeepers over the season, which bodes well. He must be getting a lot of save points as well. So, yep, good stuff. Fabianski, again, we've spoken about the fixtures there for West Ham, so he's probably another one I'd consider. But Meslier, for me, probably would have the edge. Just on the Saints guys there, I don't think we can really second guess who's going to play, but if you have got Forster, which most of us have as a 4.0, you could potentially look to bring in McCarthy alongside him as a sort of a budget Saints double up there, which guarantees you the Saints goalkeeper for the remaining 3 games, because we do have some pretty nice fixtures as well, so that's perhaps worth consideration.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah.
I guess for you guys, you would tend to shy away from those for lack of value you might get for your transfer.
I already made the move last week for with Mendy. I took Mendy out last week in anticipation of these blanks and brought in Martinez because he had the double as well. So I'm already kind of I've ran my race there with the goalkeepers. I'm stuck with Martinez now. Yeah,
I agree with you though, Daz. I think McCarthy is a good shout for a guaranteed goalkeeper if you already own Forster. So I completely agree with that. It's a great shout, particularly as McCarthy's now dropped down to 4.4 million, so 8.4 million gets you basically a guaranteed goalkeeper for Southampton, and they're good fixtures as we've discussed. Fulham at home, Leeds at home, West Ham United away is pretty decent. You'd maybe expect one clean sheet out of those three, and then some save points as well. Can't really grumble with that for that price point. And again, outside of that, I would say I would have to back Meslier because I brought him in game week 34 for Mendy before the old triple double, just to give me some cover for 36. And I guess going to the other point about Ralph in terms of playing Forster, I think Ralph is a man of his word. He can certainly come across that way. So if he's got come out and publicly said, "Oh, we're going to rotate them around," I think he'll stick to it, irrespective of the penalty save from Forster. That's just Forster doing his job. I think in Ralph's mind, no matter what you do, you've got to come in there and do your job. And I'm still going to stick to my word. So I wouldn't back on that. I certainly wouldn't put any money on it. However, I would if I was in that position, I potentially would take the risk of having no goalkeeper at all and see if it pays off, just to see. Because you'd be gutted if you brought someone in, they didn't do anything, and Forster plays and keeps a clean sheet. It's one of those, isn't it? A bit of a swing one. However, goalkeepers don't get that many points anyway, so whispers it quietly. But wouldn't be investing transfers, which of course think of a transfer as 4 points, right? Because if you take a minus, it's -4. Technically it's worth 4 points a transfer. Goalkeeper's likely to only get you sort of a max of sort of 6, 7 on average, isn't it? So kind of low ceiling. Just would leave it. Would look elsewhere.
Good shout, guys. Right, moving on swiftly. We've got FPL Rookie who has asked, who's your top 3 must-haves and top 3 differentials? I'm assuming here they've put FH36. I'm assuming they're going to have a go with their free hit in this game week. So what's your views on that one?
So I personally, I think Digne and DCL are the standouts for the free hit in 36 because they've got Sheffield United at home. I'd probably go with Kane as well on a free hit, as you've got the free hit, just to try and get a bit of coverage there. He's probably going to be quite highly owned, and potentially, that effective ownership goes up because there will be some captaincies being flung on him, I'm sure. And then, we talked about Ings already, so I don't think we need to talk too much more about that. But again, very lowly owned alongside Mane, who's still is under 5%, and that is crazy considering how explosive he can be. We saw he got 11 points in the game just gone, and of course he's playing tonight against United. So he's another one. And then I guess I would actually think about tripling up with the Everton boys, and obviously Digne's the defender, so you've got a bit of coverage there from the clean sheet side of things. So I wouldn't really look for maybe a Pickford. I'd probably keep away from that, and then the midfielders don't really fill me with confidence, so I'd probably go with someone like Richarlison, who's only owned by 7.2% live teams. So for me, that I would probably go for that double up, like how I did with free hit with Vardy and Iheanacho, and I know a few others own. I know you own them just on your normal team, Daz. But I did that kind of double up for Leicester. I would do the same on free hit with the Everton forwards. I'd go Richarlison and DCL.
Yeah, I agree. Good question as well. I like that. Top 3.
Yeah, I like that.
3 must-haves, top 3 differentials. I agree with you, Craig. I think Everton's probably the team for target in terms of must-haves. I think particularly Digne and DCL. And of course, you've got either Son or Kane there. Probably been my third pick for the Spurs game with a free hit. Differentials. I'm not thinking too far outside the box here. I'm going with big players, low ownership, likes of Gareth Bale, Danny Ings, Sadio Mane, players at massive ceilings. And with your free hit with those fixtures, I like those. Why not?
Yeah, Bale's a good one. You might lean towards that, Daz, after our conversations again. I know you mentioned it, but
the radar a little bit. Like that hat trick was only 2 game weeks ago, and he's not really being talked about that much.
No, and I can see him playing. I can see him playing most minutes now, coming in the run-in. You've got a good relationship there with Ryan Mason. I think they played together before, and again, it's one of those where I think you get good minutes at home to Wolves. It could be one of those masterclasses again. So I like that shout.
And kudos to you, Craig, for picking out the Sadio Mane pick last week as well. That was a very nice little tip there. So we should acknowledge that one when they come good. So moving on, next question's from Madeline Tudor. They've thrown out a question which is asking Mahrez is he the best differential captain? I guess, if you've got him, do you throw the armband on him this week?
Hard to put a label on it, isn't it? The best differential captain. I think he's a very good differential captain. Is a player who's had a great season. We spoke about him on the pod a lot before, haven't we? How good he actually is, and if he was guaranteed of minutes, you're probably looking at a 11, 12 million pound midfielder there in that City side because he is that good. And actually, I do fancy him to start Friday night. So yeah, if you're looking for a differential, you might be onto something there with Riyadh.
It's a bit of a gamble, isn't it, for the armband? But it could pay off quite easily.
No, I agree completely. Yeah, if you're chasing rank mini league spots, then yeah, why not with someone like Morris? He looks like he could be assured of a start this week.
Had a great season,
Again,
didn't he? Really seems to have nailed down that spot, actually.
Yeah, he's class, isn't he? Nice to see.
Pivotal in the Champions League as well, right? He's been at the heart of
really stepped up to the plate for them and in the Champions League. So that's really good to see because without those important goals, who's to say that they go through? So yeah, fantastic to see for Riyadh.
Moving on swiftly again then. So we've got I'm Davey who's asked, who's the best cheap defender under 5 mil for the run-in?
Yeah, so I've picked out a couple of players there. I like Nat Phillips at 4.1. He's a real budget enabler for that price. Nice fixtures for Liverpool, and I think he's pretty much nailed on to see the season out. So 4.1, you won't go too far on there. And also picked out Soufal from West Ham, 4.7. Again, we spoke about nice fixtures, and he's had a great season. Player I really like. If you can stretch your budget a little bit to just creep over that 5 mil, I think the standout is probably Stuart Dallas for me.
Love all of them. I love all of them. Again, echoing the thoughts from Daz, man. Good to have him back. Take some of the slack off of me. Yeah, no, mate, you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, look, Vladimir Soufal has got 8 assists this season. He seems to always get forward as well when I'm watching.
8 bombs forward.
He's one of those players I want in my team. Like, I want him now, right? But it's like one of those, we're at the end of the season, and it's like, if he's around 5.5, which I suspect next year, he's someone I'd look at. I mean, he just seems to get forward all the time. So, but again, it'll be all very interesting next year because I suspect West Ham will be in Europe, and we've all seen what happens to the those kind of middle tier teams. If you get into Europe, it really does hamper the season, doesn't it? When you're kind of playing on Thursday, Sunday. So I'm saying all this now, and I'll probably reassess. So yeah, no, completely agree. Dallas is a good pick as well. Absolutely.
Right, our last question is from Stu Mather, who's asked, they're actually going for Evans to Godfrey with their free transfer, and then considering either Iniacho to Antonio or Christensen to Dallas for a hit. So they've got 11 players. Do you have any thoughts on those, whether it's worthwhile, or would you be taking hits to bring in Antonio and Dallas for those boys?
Look, I understand the Iniacho to Antonio. I probably won't comment on that because I think there's some good options around that bracket, and to be honest, I don't have any allegiances there at all. I'm not drawn to anyone. We've referenced Antonio, we've talked about Bamford, we've talked about Che Adams as well. DCL's roughly in that bracket, and then you kind of go on up a tier to Ings. So I think there's plenty of options. So I can't really pass too many comments on that because I think there's just loads to talk about. But the Christensen to Dallas, I can definitely comment on. I think at the end of the day, this is a guy whose numbers have been crazy this year. I think if you can bring him in, absolutely, and he's definitely worth a hit. Coming with these last few fixtures that he's got. Do you remember I labelled him as the new Lundstrom probably about 5 or 6 pods back, and I think I got a few scoffs on the pod from you boys saying how dare I say that, and that's blasphemy from Dazza. Yeah, well, look, I think what it is that he isn't that magical 4 million, so he doesn't quite get the cult status that Lundstrom got, but he was only 0.5 more. He's 4.5 million, and his numbers are crazy. I just don't understand how he's not owned by everyone, and he's literally on the tip of everyone's tongue. 8 goals, 3 assists. Leeds looking a bit more assured at the back. Definitely worth a hit. It is ridiculous. 8 goals and 2 goals against City. It's ridiculous.
He plays in such an attacking team as well, doesn't he? He's
love it.
I think
love
that's
Leeds
where
from an FPL perspective.
Perhaps that's where people have fallen short with him, is that they see Leeds maybe not keeping many clean sheets, and they think, well, even though he is going forward,
I think that's it, actually, Jay.
Not going to pick up many defensive points. But in reality, the attacking returns more than make up for that with Dallas this year.
Exactly, that's the reason why I've had him in. 8 goals, 3 assists, and not to just beat the Lundstrom drum again, but he got 5 goals and 4 assists, and everyone was kind of bang on about
If
him,
he was a 5 million
out of position.
midfielder, you'd be looking at him, wouldn't you, as your fifth midfielder?
Yeah.
So to be in there as a defender,
That's 5 mil.
is
Absolutely.
almost a
I mean,
must
8
own.
goals is great. It was nice to see also, again, just digressing just quickly here, but, talking about 5 million midfielders, I think Souček's had a great season. I've just looked recently, he got 9 goals. Fantastic, that, isn't it? I mean, I know he's gone quiet recently, but I'm sure his point score is pretty decent. So it'd be interesting to see if old Dallas gets labelled as a midfielder next year and is 5. I think 5.5 might be a step too far because we'll find better value potentially around that. But yeah, it could be interesting.
Interesting as well there that he's gone for he's picked out Godfrey as his free transfer ahead of Dallas. For me, I'd be prioritising Dallas there, Stu.
Yeah, agreed.
So,
good shout, Dazza.
Right, let's move into four-a-side. Most of you know the drill now, but if you don't, this is where Craig and Daz are taking on each other, picking four-a-side teams, and they're also taking on the FPL Twitter community. The loser out of the guys is going to be paying £100 to Mind Charity. If the community can beat them as well, they're going to be getting an extra 50 quid out each, which is for a really great cause. Looking at the current standings ahead of tonight's game, so we are on Thursday night. For anyone listening, so we've got the Everton-Aston Villa game and the Manchester United-Liverpool game in flight. Currently, at the moment, Craig has nipped himself back into the lead, so he's got a lead of what I make out to be 14 points now after a cracking 30-point haul so far this game week.
I've been trailing for so long, so I am just like I'm beaming, smiling. I mean, I've literally been trailing the entire series, haven't I?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think I might have went ahead in our first couple of game weeks, Daz, didn't I? And then since then, I've been chasing shadows here. But
looking like you might just pit me to the finish line here, mate. But
it just goes to show how quickly. Well, I'm not counting my chickens, mate, because 3 games left. It can swing. It only takes a Kelechi Iheanacho 17-pointer or a Mason Greenwood, what could be 18 plus points, which obviously has helped me out this week. So
I can't believe I've only picked up 9 points so far in a bloody double game week. Ollie Watkins has killed me.
Yeah. Triple game week.
Ollie,
-1
triple
from
game
Watkins.
week. Ollie Watkins.
The triple double.
Oh dear.
Right, let's dive into then. So Daz gets first pick.
Hang on.
Oh, I'm getting carried away. I'm getting excited.
At the moment. You're getting well carried away. So Darren has only scored 9 points so far. He's on 305 points. FPL community, 17 points so far for this game week. They're on 305 as well. So, Darren, you're on the cusp of getting £150 to Mind Charity at this rate. So, you need to pull your finger out, son. This week, we are up against FPL legend Lynn. Lynn's a Norwegian, big Scouse fan. Piled in with some cracking ranks over the last few seasons. So, I can see a 21k and a 38k in recent years as well.
Good scores.
Really good sport on the FPL Twitter community. So let's listen to Lynn's team and get the feedback from the guys afterwards.
Hello everyone, Lynn FPL here. This week I'll be representing the community and I'll be taking on Craig and Darren for game week 36 and 37 in the charity four-a-side competition. But before we get on to my team, I want to tell you a fun fact about myself. I actually spent 6 months in Thailand practicing kickboxing. But I hit my head one time too many, so I had to stop. It was good times though. And on to my team. My goalkeeper this week will be Pickford. He's facing Sheffield United and Wolverhampton, so I think there might be a clean sheet there, maybe even 2. My defender will be Dallas. We all know we can score a goal and hopefully get 1 or 2 more before the season is over. In midfield, I'm actually going to take a punt. I'm not sure he's going to start, but I hope he does. And then I'm sure he will score a goal, maybe even 3. So Mares, welcome to my team. My forward will be Antonio. West Ham are fighting for a top 4 finish. And yeah, let's just hope he comes out fighting and scoring a lot of goals. The squad adds up to 24.5 million. And yeah, I believe I can take the guys in this. Good luck, everyone. Hope your arrows are green. Maybe not so green for Craig and Darren, but the rest of you, have a good week.
Yeah, nice picks there, mate. I like that. Picked up on Stewie Dallas, Dirty Dallas, player we love, don't we?
Yeah.
Dirty D's in there. Mahrez as well. Definitely not template Temple either. No. I like it. It's a bit
of a gamble.
It's mixed up. I like it. I like that. I like that. I don't know if I was considering Mahrez, but maybe I now will. Thanks, Lynn. No, I like it. It's good. Yeah, Mahrez, 8 mil, cheap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, come on then, let's do this. I've got some work to do here.
That's business.
He's rubbing his
You
hands.
got some arses to wipe in a minute as well, so come on.
First pick, Daz. This is unknown territory for you.
Okay,
Always me, innit? Trey Limp. Go on then, son.
so my first pick, and I want this player in because he's going to hopefully allow me to do what I want to do elsewhere in my team, and that is Rafinha at 5.4.
Ooh,
Very
Rafinha.
nice.
Okay.
Before we
It's interesting
continue,
you've gone there. Go on.
Are we creating our own little double game week here?
Yeah,
Correct.
this is a
Yeah.
36 and
Limp said
37.
Limp,
So
yeah, it's 36, 37, yeah. I had
keep up,
Rafinha as...
Daz.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Yeah, we'll be podding probably sort of this time next week, won't we? And the game week or 37 starts on Tuesday.
Yeah,
Is that
okay.
right? So yeah, you're right. So it's all right though. Good pick, mate. For me, do you know what? He was in my squad with the players that I've got. And my first pick wasn't going to be Rafinha. So you've kind of you've kind of thrown me out a little bit, but I'll try and be fast. Just gonna have to do a quick bit of maths. Kind of want this guy, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford him now that you've gone with the 5.4 Rafinha. I think that's good. I think that's very good. I feel like I'm going to be opening up here. I'm going to go for. It's going to be rubbish midfielder for me now, though. Unfortunately, I'm going to get someone around a similar bracket to you at the 5.4, but definitely nowhere near as
Going
good.
Danny
But
Ings, isn't he?
yeah, I'm going to go Dings.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Dingsy Wee 8.4.
Nice.
I'm going to give it a go. Fingers crossed he doesn't get injured.
Okay, so I'm going to go for. I wanted Ingsy, boy. I wanted Ingsy.
Throwing you off a little bit of ice. It makes a change. It's normally me that's scuppering around here looking at my notes after you throw me off with picks.
I'll go for Luca Digne.
Ooh, fuck.
Yeah, that means you're coming back. You're coming back for DCL, I reckon you are, Daz, man.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see on
Got
that
to
one.
be.
But
You've done well here, mate, because this first pick, yeah, you've done well. I think you've done well with the picks here. My team was going to be Danny Ings, Rafinha, and Digne were in there, all three of them. So yeah, you've definitely scuppered me here a bit, and I'm going to be scrambling around now. But anyway, so it's goalkeeper in it. Look, we're veterans now. We're not making the same mistakes anymore, are we? I'm going to bring in Pickford, 4.8.
Going for Picky.
Yeah, picky.
So that's it. I
United.
can do my last two picks, right?
For the first one,
You
yeah,
can
you
do.
I'm going to go
You can if you
for
want, mate. I'll
yeah,
work out my numbers
DCL and Meslier.
Don't be over. Have you counted?
I think I'm alright. I better check this. Hold on.
Who are you going for then, Craig? For
Right, let's round it up. Just got to add my numbers up. God, what does that give me?
what are you waiting on, Craig? A defender?
Yeah, but the problem is because he's got
It'll be
Rafinha.
Dirty Dallas, isn't it?
No, the Rafinha's the standout at 5.4 million. It just it scuppers things because I haven't really looked into that bracket too much, and I'm going to be bringing in someone, and you'll hear in a second because I've only got one option there, but I'm just working out what I can do from a defensive perspective. Probably is going to be a Dallas, to be honest. Let me just add it up. Can I go more? Probably not. Let's just check though, because if I can, I'll see. I'm tempted now. Let me just see if I can do
What you
this.
got your eye on?
Throwing out the big Mendy.
I've got my eye on Alexander Arnold now. If you've gone for Digne, he's got 2 games and he's pretty plumb as well. So I'm just going to see if I can do it. Let's see. But Dallas is just as good for me. But yeah, let's add it up. 7.6 for Alexander Arnold plus 4.8.
Surely you can't get
Plus-
the Trent with Ings in there as well. No way.
I don't think I can I? No, I can't. You're right, I can't.
So
So
16
no, I
million.
can't do it. So I've got to go for Dirty Dallas, 5.3 million for me. Unfortunately, can't get Alexander Arnold in. And yeah, this is the one that I'm not really too happy about. I'm going to go for Thomas Souček, 5.2 million.
Okay.
Got a couple of good games, isn't he?
Yeah.
And maybe he's due a goal. But I wanted Rafinha, mate. You threw me off with that first pick. I have to say, I thought you were going to go Calvert-Lewin or Ings as your first pick, so I'm a little bit...
I wanted Ings, but I knew I had. If I needed to get Rafinha to allow Ings, if you know what I mean. I didn't want to pick Ings, and then you pick Rafinha, and then I'm screwed. So I wanted
very
to
true.
get that pick sewn up.
That's what happened with me, right, with Souček. So shall I round them up? I've got Pickford for the listeners. I've got Dallas. I've got Souček, and I've got Danny Ings. And I think it comes well under, I think.
Yeah.
24 or something. I'll add it up in a minute. What about you, mate? What have you got?
So that team will be taking on Meslier, Luca Digne, Rafinha, and DCL. So good matchup.
Strong, mate. I think it's good. See, that's why it's good to have that first pick, isn't it? Because it gives you a chance now. I know you're 14 or so behind, but we don't know what's going to happen tonight. Obviously, I know you've still got Pogba, and I've got Greenwood, etc. But yeah, mate, this is going to go right to the wire.
Yes, let's hope
It is
so.
indeed. It could be a coin. It could be a coin flip. It could come down to something stupid like someone not playing or a yellow card or something.
Could do, mate.
100
This is
quid,
a
that
double.
would
This
be,
is our own self-made double
expensive.
game week as well, isn't it? So anything can happen.
Yeah.
Particularly with
Yeah.
Danny Ings in your side, you don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to be goals, or is it going to be
Crocked.
ambulance time? Right.
Yeah.
Pleasure
Right.
as always, my boys.
Yeah. Welcome back, Daz. Great to have you
Welcome
back
back.
Cheers,
on the
guys.
pod.
Good to be back.
Lovely to have you back, mate.
And we'll be back with you soon for the last game week of the season. So in the meantime, look after yourselves. Let us know your thoughts on our Twitter handle at First45Pod. Make sure you're subscribed to us on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. And have a fantastic game week.
See you guys.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks a lot, everyone.